Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to Mount & Blade Warband with the Wings of Glory mod. So this is a mod that basically simplifies a lot of the grind and adds some other quality of life improvements to the game. Other than that, not huge changes. But you can see we're playing a male character now. His name is Dullahan, the Demon Knight. And my goal with this character, and it is one that's going to take a while to achieve, apparently, is to make someone that can fight on his feet. That works well enough against one or two enemies, as we pick up some better gear here for the melee than we had before. We need some money, so we went to the arena in this town. There is a fighting arena in every major town, and you can enter the melee there. In vanilla Mount & Blade, you can get, I think, on average, around 500 denarii, which is, it's food money. But in this mod, you can get quite a lot more, as with other features of the grind being improved. This really helps us out, and here you can see my awesome tactics against this archer. Whenever he readies a shot, I just dodge to the side, and then this asshole shows up, and now I'm being double teamed by these guys side to side. And you can see that the dueling combat in this game is just fantastic. You could see us blocking with our shield there, having to switch between targets as, again, if your shield doesn't cover an area, it doesn't block that area, so you have to actually face someone. When it comes to parrying a blow with a hand weapon that's not a shield, as you'll see us do at some point in this gameplay, I'm sure, it's directional. So just like directional attacks, your parry is directional. And a parry is always successful if you aim it in the right direction, with the exception of certain weapons that are rather rare and quite parable. There you go. You see us using a directional parry as our shield actually shattered. So we have the shield on our back, and that does protect us from projectiles fired at that area of our back that the shield covers, Viking style. And yet, here you see us fighting with our one-handed sword because our other shield that we picked up has been broken. And unfortunately, you can see us waiting here for his equipment to render so we can pick it up. Unfortunately, you're not able to equip the shield that's on your back to the slot of your first hand, and we're about to get taken out here as our health is quite low, even though, again, we're playing on the low difficulty setting for combat. In the melee against multiple enemies, your health will disappear quite rapidly. And you can see the gritty nature of this combat is just really satisfying. I had the sound effects turned off for the last video because they're pretty simple. They're very simple. And they get a little bit annoying. I don't even listen to the sound effects while I'm playing. I need to pay attention to what my girls are doing, as I usually have a baby climbing on me and clawing me with her little sharp nails, and we get taken down. And then a toddler who may or may not need to be reminded to go pee-pee in the potty and not just wherever she's standing, because she's just so busy. So I need to have my senses about me. If you look at our stats over to the left, you can see we're putting a lot of points into strength, and we're pumping up our strength-related skills. Fighting in the melee in both vanilla and modded Mount & Blade is rewarding in terms of experience in the early game, so it's a great place to train up. It's a lot better than going to a training field and attempting to level yourself up there, because it also pays. And it's a lot faster paced, as you can see. It's really fun to fight in the melee every now and then, but as with many things in Mount & Blade, it's best if taken a bite at a time, and then you get to go off and do something else. And because we're playing Wings of Glory mod, we get a lot better rewards, and we're able to equip ourselves with some decent beginner armor right off the bat. Now that we have some much more powerful equipment than the peasant garb we were wearing before. I know, filthy peasant. I'm not even a noble in this playthrough. Yet. Now that we have some decent gear, we don't have that much money. I'm gonna have to give some of this back. Can I just run out the door without paying? I want it all, and I want it now. But I'll just have to wait. What was I saying? Now that I have some decent gear, I'm quite confident. I want to go find a fight and see what I can do. And I am gonna have to give those boots back. You know what? Let's just fight Hobbit style with no leg armor. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe we'll go into the melee again. Yeah, let's see if we can make some more money. Papa needs a new pair of shoes. We got a sword and a shield to start with, which is pretty nice. So let's get into the action. Enemy archer. Rush him. And another thing that's different in Wings of Glory is attack patterns. So you'll see the way I swing my sword is just a bit different here than it is in Vanilla Mount and Blade. And I've noticed that if you start with a horizontal attack and then switch into a vertical attack immediately, there's a bit of a save. You save like 1 or 2 frames on your attack. So it's just a little bit faster than readying an attack from the neutral position to ready an attack immediately after the first attack. And you'll see me taking advantage of that every now and then. You can see we're very aggressive here, starting in with a jab and then a slash. And against the lower rank AI, as you start out fighting early in the melee, if you time your attack just right, you can launch your attack just as they're readying their attack, which leaves them open and undefended, as you see us taking advantage of here time and time again, starting with a jab and then maybe moving into another thrust as well, or maybe going into a vertical strike or a cross chop as you do. I haven't been using a lot of attacking from the outside of my sword arm, in other words from my right side, but that's just my style. I like to attack from the inside. It seems to get around the enemy shield a little bit better. It might be a little bit faster, and the way my character moves is just easier to line up those attacks. And since an attack hits when it makes contact with the enemy character, an outside attack is going to take a few more frames to be deadly than a thrust, which will be immediately hazardous to anyone that's in front of you, or an inside attack that again will be moving into the enemy's area a little bit sooner. Now you can see us getting sandwiched again, and that's a bad situation, so we need to take down that opponent right away. Luckily, the staves that are used as the polearm weapon in the melee are total garbage in terms of damage, so we're able to get away with that fairly well. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is there are 3 types of damage in the game. Piercing damage, which is a balance of armor piercing ability and overall damage. Slashing or cutting damage, I should say, which is more focused on damaging unarmored or unprotected targets as our shield shatters again and our health at the minimum. Any moment now and we could get taken down, but we've already done fairly well, so it's okay that that guy takes us out. Let's see, cutting damage, the best at taking down unarmored or unprotected targets, and blunt damage, which is most effective at dealing with armor, and also fairly good at staggering or even breaking through the guard of certain opponents. And you would think that blunt weapons would be overpowered and the strongest weapons in the game because of those characteristics, and you're not far from being correct. Except that blunt weapons are often balanced by the fact that they're not well balanced. They're heavy, they're slow, they're unbalanced weapons, which means that if someone guards effectively against them, or if you hit a wall or something, it's going to take you a little bit longer to recover for your next attack. In addition, their attack speed and weapon speed in general tends to be lower than swords and axes and some of the pole arms, so those are all balancing factors as well. Suffice to say that you can do well with just about any weapon in the game, and in terms of quality, a base quality or subpar quality weapon is still quite serviceable. You might need to make 1 or 2 more hits on the enemy than you would with a better weapon, but sometimes being able to take down an opponent with 1 less attack is worth quite a bit. So the improved weapons in this game, the higher quality, up to I think Masterwork is the finest quality in the game. There is no magic in this game. It is a somewhat realistic medieval combat game. Here we go. Let's test ourselves against a group of bandits. There's only 20 some of them. Some of them trained veterans in armor that's just as good as mine. As they start to cut me down as I retreat to try and gain some ground, taking a lot of hits to my shield, I realize that I've made a mistake, taking down a couple of the enemy, and yet it's not going to be enough. They are going to overwhelm me here, and it's just, it seems unfair the way the AI can sort of cut through their own allies and be able to... Don't run away from me! Let me kill you! Anyway, we may have been a bit hasty in testing ourselves here, and I get the feeling that it's time to run away, and yet we're not going to have enough speed to get out of here. Our horse far away, and we are going to pay the price for our hubris in our own blood and loss to our party. I had a follower at this point, and oh, hello, horse. Goodbye, horse. My kingdom for a horse. Anyone, please. I need to escape. Have mercy. Buy my merch. No, please. Not like this. Not by a peasant. Okay, you can kill me. Except that I'm not dead. As I mentioned, you don't die in this game. You do get knocked unconscious, and we've just been taken prisoner. Thankfully, they didn't strip me of my gear, which is always helpful, and we are eventually, as we get dragged around by these brigands, eventually going to be able to escape. So, we'll call that a character building moment, a learning experience, if you will. And now that I've escaped with my horse, I'll fight them the proper way for mount and blade. It's in the name, after all. Now, I'm being accosted by a toddler who is telling me that she needs food, so I might have to split the commentary for a little bit here, but do enjoy while I wreak vengeance on these enemy brigands and look at the difference between fighting on horseback compared with fighting on foot. I did take down a few of them, but I'm sure you will agree that this mobile warfare is far superior to the peasant warfare you see down there on the ground. Look at how beautiful it is to ready your attack and then just cut into some poor, filthy peasant as he readies his war axe to meet your charge, and yet falls short of being skilled enough to take you down. Oh, that was a throwing axe to the face. Thankfully, we have lots of armor. Our horse is a standard beginner horse. and it's starting to feel the pain a lot more than we are, so we're gonna need to finish these things up before I get dehorsed, which is, as you can see from our horse's health bar, very possible. And again, if they hit the horse, they hurt the horse. So getting a better mount, one with armor and a little bit more of an ability to run people down. Nicely done, Dullahan Jr. there on that charge, by the way. And as I mentioned with other things, there is a check when you run into someone to see if you're going fast enough to knock them down and if your horse is heavy and strong enough to knock them down. Otherwise, they stop your horse, and terrible, terrible things happen to both you and your mount, as the enemy infantry show you the advantage of being able to move your arms and legs freely and not have to worry about guiding a stupid beast into combat. Oh, sorry, Dullahan Jr. You're not a stupid beast. I was talking about the other horses, but even so, let's dismount for these last few and show them the power of a fully operational Death Star. Alright, as we finish our revenge and we hear the cries of our toddler who needs food, we'll mark this down as a great introduction to the character Dullahan the Demon Knight, and oh, it's a lady. We just recruited our first soldiers, captives of those bandits, now members of my mercenary group. Catch you guys in the next video. I gotta go feed this toddler. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Food, but say bye-bye. Okay, let's go get food.